Good day, everyone. So, the topic that we are going to discuss for today are all about life cycle strategies. So, in the dynamic world of business, industries typically evolve driven by innovation, market demands, and technological advancement. So, understanding the life cycle is very important for stakeholders, for investors, for entrepreneurs, for suppliers, and also for businesses because it provides framework for anticipating challenges and identifying opportunities. The life cycle of industry typically encompasses different distinct stages, which each phase present unique characteristics and requires tailored strategies to navigate effectively. So, this topic, the life cycle strategy, will explain how businesses can strategically manage their operations through each stage to maximize growth and profitability. Industry life cycle analysis. So this slide only explain about the industry life cycle model. So this model is a valuable framework for examining how industry evolution influences the competitive dynamics. Also, this model outlines the five sequential stages that industries typically undergo, which have distinct characteristics and affect the competitive forces in different ways. The stages of the life cycle are first the embryonic stage. So this is the initial phase wherein the industry is just beginning to develop. The second stage is the growth stage wherein the industry's market expands rapidly. The third stage is the shakeouts phase, wherein the growth slows and the competition intensifies. We have the fourth stage, which is the maturity stage. So this stage is wherein the industry stabilizes and the growth is minimal. And the last stage is the decline stage, wherein the market contracts and the demand decreases. So each stage will be further discussed in the next slides. But important to remember that managers must understand how these stages affects Porter's five competitive forces, particularly the risk of entry of potential competitors and the rivalry among existing firms. By anticipating these changes in these forces, so managers can devise strategies that align with the industry's evolutionary phase.
In Brahmopsy, industry is just beginning to develop. Growth at this stage is slow due to factors such as buyers' unfamiliarity with the industry products, high prices due to poor economics of scale, and poorly developed distribution channel. Let's take the personal computer industry in the 90s as an example. First, buyers were often unfamiliar with computers. Many people had never seen or used one, making them hesitant to buy something they didn't understand. Second, prices were high because the industry had not yet achieved economics of scale. Computers were made in small quantities, so the cost to produce each one was high. Lastly, distribution channels were poorly developed. There weren't many places to buy computers, and the methods for marketing and delivering them to customers were not well established. These factors combined to slow the growth of the personal computer industry during its early years. Next is the barriers to entry, tend to be based on access to key technological know-how. Higher the complexity, higher the barrier for new entrants. Rivalry is based not so much on prices as on educating customers, opening up distribution channels, and perfecting the design of the product. In the early stages of an industry, barriers to entry are high because new companies need depth technological expertise to compete. The more complex the technology, the harder it's for new entrants. First is educating customers. Like companies, it must explain the product and its benefit to potential buyers who are unfamiliar with it. For example, early personal computer companies had to show how computers could be useful in daily life and business. Next, opening up distribution channel. Companies to create effective ways to get their products to customers. This involves setting up retail partnership, direct sales teams, or online sales platforms, as initially there are few places selling the product. Lastly, perfecting the product design. Continuous improvement is crucial to make the product more user-friendly and reliable. Early personal computers needed better interfaces, more software, and improved performance. These efforts help establish a strong foundation for the industry growth. The company that is first to solve design or employ innovative effort is often able to build up a significant market share. For example, personal computers like Apple, vacuum cleaner like Hoover, and photocopier like Xerox, the ultimate proof of the success of a brand. The company has major opportunity to capitalize on the lack of rivalry and build up a strong market presence.
So we'll go through this slide which talks about the growth stage. So in this stage, demand is expanding rapidly and the industry's products take off because first, customers have become familiar with the product. Prices fall because experience and economies of scale have been attained. And third is distribution channels have developed. So let's break down the growth stage of an industry using the example of the US cell phone industry during the 1990s. So, during the growth stage, demand for a product is rapidly increasing and several key factors are included into this. So, first, as I have said, because customer familiarity, consumers become familiar with the product. In the case of cell phones, people were starting to understand and adopt this new technology in their daily lives. So, as of now, almost all individuals in the world, especially in our country, are using cell phones. So it became part of their daily lives. Most of their works are have done in using cell phones. Next is price decline. As more people adopt the product and as companies gain experience and scale, prices tend to fall. This makes the product more accessible at a broader range of consumers. Next one is the development of distribution channels. So, in development of distribution channels, effective ways of getting the product to consumers are established. For cell phones, this could include retail stores, online sales, and partnership with service providers. So, for example, if a seller sells his product using cell phones. We can see, for example, on different social media, on the Blue app, we can see marketplaces. On TikTok, we can see different shops that we can buy our products. So, in the example given, we see a significant expansion in the number of cell phones subscribers in the US during from 1990 to 2002. So, indicating rapid growth in demand, this growth rate was particularly high and exceeding the 25% per year. Now, let's talk about entry barriers and rivalry during the growth stage. First, let's talk about the entry barriers. So, entry barriers during the growth stage, barriers to entry are relatively low. Technological knowledge becomes more accessible, and companies haven't fully achieved the significant economies of scale or built strong brand name into the market so that um, the effect of this is that competitors have easily access to the market, so they can enter the market easily, and this can be a disadvantage for different kinds of companies. Next is the rivalry. Despite the growing number of players in the industry, rivalry tends to be relatively low during this stage, because the high growth rate means that new entrants can find a place in the market without dramatically increasing competition. So, um, this rivalry allows companies to focus on building their position in the market and preparing for more intense competition in the near future or in the next years. Um, all in all, the growth stage of an industry is characterized by rapidly expanding demand, the declining prices, the development of distribution channels, the relatively low entry barriers, moderate rivalry among competitors. It's a crucial phase for the growth stage where companies establish themselves and then prepare for future changes.
So the next topic is about industry shakeout. So an industry shakeout is when an industry goes through a phase where the number of companies decreases because only the strongest survive. This happens after a period of fast growth and lots of competition where many companies try to enter the market. So, as things settle down, weaker companies either go out of business or get bought by the stronger ones or the stronger companies. This leaves fewer but more powerful companies in control of the market. For example, in the early days of the smartphone industry, many companies like BlackBerry, HTC, Nokia, and Palm tried to compete, and as time went on, only a few like Apple and Samsung became really successful. The successful companies couldn't keep up and either left the market or changed their focus. Now, Apple and Samsung are the main players in the smartphone market and showing how the industry has settled down with fewer and stronger companies.
Good day. My other team members already discussed the earlier stages of industry life cycle. So, for mature stage, the companies that survive the shakeout enter the mature stage of the industry. The market is totally saturated, demand is limited to replacement demand, and growth is low or zero. Whatever growth there is comes from population expansion or from increase in replacement demand. Barriers to entry increase and the threat of entry from potential competitors decrease. Competition for market share drives down prices, often resulting in a price war. Example, airline and PC industries. To survive the shakeout, companies begin to focus on cost minimization and building brand loyalty. Example are low-cost airlines and frequent flyer programs, excellent after-sales service by PC companies. Only those with brand loyalty and low-cost operations will survive. At the same time, high entry barriers in mature industry give companies the opportunity to increase prices and profits. The end result will be a more consolidated industry structure. So when it comes to rivalry, in mature industries, companies tend to recognize their interdependence. They try to avoid price wars and enter into cartels or price leadership market segment agreements, examples the domestic pressure cooker industry, thereby allowing greater profitability. However, an economic slump can depress industry demand, reduce profits, break down agreements, increase rivalry, and result in renewed price wars. So, in mature stage in the industry life cycle, it is a pace characterized by steady and slower growth compared to the rapid expansion seen in earlier stages. For the industry's products or service is well developed and saturated. Sales growth are slow and eventually stabilizes. High volume of sales but at a slower growth rate. Also, in mature stage, it has fewer new customers to attract. So companies emphasize maintaining and strengthening relationships among existing customers. So their priority is the brand loyalty. So brand loyalty becomes a crucial competitive advantage. So the barriers to entry are high due to established brands, customer loyalty, and economies of scale. So new entrants in mature stage find it difficult to compete with other established players. Examples of industries in the mature stage includes the automobile industry, consumer electronics, and certain segments of the food and beverage industry.
Now, let's move on to the last stage of the industry life cycle. In the decline stage of an industry, growth turns negative due to various factors such as technological substitution, social changes, demographic shifts, and international competition. This stage is characterized by excess capacity, leading to increased rivalry among established companies. Here is an explanation of how industries handle this stage. First is technological substitution. Example, the shift from rail travel to air travel. Companies in declining industries due to technological substitution can focus on niche markets, diversify their product lines, or invest in new technologies. For instance, rail companies might change to high-speed rail services or focus on scenic, luxury train travel experiences that air travel cannot offer. For the second one, social changes. Example of this is the decrease in tobacco sales due to greater health consciousness. The strategy for this is tobacco companies have diversified into alternative products such as the e-cigarettes and nicotine replacement therapies. They also invest in marketing strategies that emphasize the harm reduction and align with the growing health consciousness trend. So third is the demographics. Example of this is declining birth rates impacting the baby care and child products market. The strategy for this is companies can expand their product lines to cater to older age groups or diversify into related market products. For example, baby care companies might develop products for parents or create educational and developmental toys for older children. Last is the international competition. Example of this is the influx of cheap Chinese imports affecting local manufacturers. The strategy for this is local companies can focus on quality, brand differentiation, and customer loyalty. They can also explore export opportunities, form strategic alliances, or innovate to reduce production costs and improve efficiency. So, in a declining industry, excess capacity can lead to severe price competition. So, here are some strategies to manage this issue. First is consolidation. Companies may merge or acquire competitors to reduce the number of players in the market, thereby managing capacity more effectively. For example, the automotive industry has seen significant consolidation to address the overcapacity issues. Next is the exit strategies. Companies with high exit barriers need to find ways to exit the market gracefully. This might include selling off parts of the business, finding buyers for their assets, or even negotiating with governments for support in managing workforce reductions. And of course, the endgame strategies. Companies may choose to adopt an endgame strategy focusing on maximizing short-term profits while gradually winding down operations. This involves reducing costs, optimizing existing assets, and potentially selling off parts of the business. Strategic managers must be able to recognize when an industry is approaching the shakeout or the decline stage to adjust their strategies accordingly. And this involves first is market analysis, continuously monitor market trends, customer preferences, and technological advancements. Next is scenario planning. Develop different scenarios and contingency plans to address potential future developments. And the flexible operations, which is they have to maintain operational flexibility to change quickly in response to changing market conditions. One of the example of the industry with successful adaptation is Blockbuster. Failed to adapt to the digital streaming revolution, leading to its decline. In contrast, Netflix successfully transitioned from DVD rentals to streaming services. In summary, industries in the decline stage must adopt flexible, forward-thinking strategies to navigate negative growth by recognizing crucial points in the industry development and adapting accordingly. Companies can mitigate the impacts of decline and, in some cases, find new avenues for growth and profitability. The industry life cycle model, which includes stages such as embryonic, growth, shakeout, maturity, and decline, is a valuable framework for understanding industry dynamics. However, it has several limitations. First is the life cycle issues. The life cycle model assumes a predictable progression through distinct changes. However, in reality, industries do not always follow a linear path. Next is the innovation and change. The model tends to overlook the impact of continuous innovation and change. Disruptive technologies can alter the direction of an industry, making the traditional life cycle model less applicable. The third one is the number of companies. The industry life cycle does not account for the varying number of companies within each stage. The model does not provide detailed insight into competitive dynamics and how the number of companies influences industry behavior. So, to further discuss the limitations of the industry life cycle, here is Ms. Bautista.
So we'll go through this slide which talks about the limitation of industry life cycle. So first we have life cycle issues. This talks about sometimes growth stage is so rapid that embryonic stage is skipped. Sometimes declining stage can be revitalized due to any social change or innovation, and the time of each stage vary from one industry to other industries. So let's break down into the terms that have provided. Um, Skipping the embryonic stage. In some cases, the growth stage of an industry can be so rapid that it essentially bypasses the embryonic stage altogether. This means that there's such high demand and readiness for a product or services that it quickly moves into widespread adoption without the need for a lengthy period of introduction and development. So, for example, the with certain technological advancements or disruptive innovations, consumers, in this example, they adopt the innovations. It can happen rapidly, leading to a abbreviated embryonic stage. Next one is revitalizing the declining stage. So in this stage, while the declining stage of an industry typically signifies a decrease in demand and profitability, it's not always a permanent state. Social changes or innovations can breathe new life into declining industries, revitalizing them and extending their life cycle. So, for instance, changes in consumer preferences, technological advancements, or even regulatory shifts can create opportunities for industries previously considered in decline to reinvent themselves and find new relevant in the market. The third one is about the variability in stage duration. So in this stage, the duration of each stage in the life cycle of an industry can vary significantly from one industry to another. So factors such as market saturation, um, technological advancements, also regulatory environments, shifts in consumer behaviors, it can all influence the length of time a particular stage persists. For example, so in the industries characterized by rapid technological innovation, and then they can experience shorter life cycles with shorter durations for each stage, while more traditional industries may have longer and more stable life cycles. So, in summary, the life cycle of industries presents several important considerations, so including the potential for skipping stages, the embryonic stage, and the possibility of revitalizing declining stages, and also the variability in the duration of each stage across different industries. So, understanding these life cycle issues or dynamics is very crucial for businesses and also for the policymakers alike to adopt and are thriving in a constantly evolving economic landscape.
Innovation and change as limitations of industry life cycle. So, in the life cycle of any industry, there are various stages, which are the introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. Innovation and change can pose challenges at any of these stages. While innovation often drives growth and can lead to new opportunities, it can also disrupt existing businesses. Companies that fail to keep up with technological advancements or shifts in the consumer preferences can struggle to survive in the market. This can limit their ability to compete and thrive within the industry. For example, is in the music industry. So before the innovation, for many years, the music industry was dominated by physical media like CDs and vinyl records. So record companies and music stores thrived by selling these products. But after innovation and change, with the advent of digital technology, music consumption shifted dramatically. First, there were MP3 downloads, and then streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music emerged in the present time. So the impact is that many traditional music stores and some record companies couldn't adapt to the changes. So they struggled with declining sales and eventually went out of business. Um, Meanwhile, other companies that embraced digital distribution and streaming thrived and took over the market. So this example shows how innovation and change, although beneficial for the industry as a whole, can limit and challenge existing players who are unable to adapt to the changes. And it highlights the importance of staying flexible and responsive to the technological and market shifts in any industry.
The third limitation of industry life cycle is the number of companies. Every industry has different number of players. Based on the intensity of competition among the players, the industry life cycle may get affected. The growth stage may be larger and maturity could be slower if there are few players. If there are more players, then any industry can dry out soon. So in the early stages of an industry's life cycle, there may be only a few companies operating due to high entry barriers such as capital requirements, technological expertise, or regulatory hurdles. This limited number of players can lead to intense competition as they strive to establish themselves in the market. However, as the industry matures and more companies enter the fray, competition can become saturated, making it difficult for new entrants to gain a foothold. This saturation can limit the growth prospects for existing companies and act as a barrier to entry for new ones. So industries with a small number of companies may struggle to achieve economies of scale and scope, which can limit their ability to reduce production costs and expand into new markets. Larger companies often have an advantage in terms of resources and bargaining power, allowing them to invest in efficiency improvements, research and development, and geographic expansion. So, smaller companies may find it challenging to compete against these larger players, particularly if they lack the scale to achieve cost efficiencies. A smaller number of companies in an industry can limit the diversity of products, services, and business models available to consumers. So, in competitive markets with numerous players, companies are often driven to differentiate themselves through innovation, leading to a wider variety of offerings. However, when the number of companies is limited, there may be less incentive for innovation, resulting in a lack of diversity and slower market evolution. That would be all for the discussion of industry life cycle. The team members are Banaag Maria Shigred M, Bautista Cecil, Casapo Geraldine, Dalangin Alexis, Faminiano Maryjoy, Fornal Maricor, BS Accountancy, BSA 421. Thank you.